Disneyland closes its theme parks and cruise lines across the United States. Broadway shuts down and the PGA is cancelled as the Covid-19 coronavirus takes a stranglehold on the US economy. In Canada, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau is in isolation after his wife tested positive for the virus on return from a visit to the UK. In Australia, as he awaits test results for the virus, Australian bowler Kane Richardson has withdrawn from his squad facing the Black Caps in a stadium with no fans in the stands. And back home, the markets had another rough day, and the Prime Minister is expected to make an announcement on heightened border restrictions over the weekend. Fears about the coronavirus pandemic have also forced the cancellation or postponement of a number of high-profile events, some at the 11th hour. While the WOMAD Music Festival in New Plymouth and a memorial service in Christchurch to mark 1 year since the mosque attacks will still go ahead this weekend, almost everything else won't. This morning, the plug was pulled on this weekend's Pacifica Festival due to host tens of thousands of people, and the Corona Piha Pro Surf event featuring world champion Kelly Slater has been postponed indefinitely. Concerts further along the calendar, including My Chemical Romance and Deftones, have also been postponed. Amy Williams explains.
A lone Fale stands among empty marquees at Western Springs, where Pacifica Festival organisers were told this morning to pack down the stages and tents because of concerns about the coronavirus. More than 400 local and international artists were due to perform at the event, which was expected to draw 60,000 people. Sound technician Wiramu Piper was doing sound checks this morning when he found out the event's cancelled.
Kind of shocked. So we'd heard a lot of it through the media, and driving up from Hawke's Bay, we thought it was all go. So it wasn't until today that we found out.
Mr Piper's concerned about other events they're booked to set up.
I've heard of a few up north and some others down the line as well, looking like they're going to be cancelled from other crew.
Is the reason for the cancellations the coronavirus?
Yeah.
It's the second year in a row the Pacific Festival's been cancelled after last year's event was called off in the aftermath of the Christchurch terror attacks. At the time, the festival's production manager, Peter Van Gent, had stage gear waiting in warehouses to be taken to Western Springs. This time round, his crew had already set up the 3 stages.
Well, everybody's disappointed, obviously. There's nothing we can do about it, I guess. We're basically ready. We're just actually starting to sound check. Yeah, nobody likes it, but I suppose there's a bit of uncertainty, so I guess that's what's happened.
Pacifica is the biggest one-day Pacific Island community festival in the world, attracting visitors from our neighbouring islands. Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern says New Zealand has a responsibility as a gateway to the Pacific to do everything it can to stop the spread of COVID-19 there.
The advice I received was that we did have a large number of travellers from the Pacific coming in. Now, one of the issues we've got in our favour is our ability to contact trace every time we have a case in New Zealand. But that really is reliant on those people continuing to be in New Zealand, self-isolate in New Zealand and have access to New Zealand's health system.
Ms Ardern says if COVID-19 was to spread in the Pacific, it would be hugely damaging to its health system. Auckland Mayor Phil Goff says it's a precautionary measure and does not mean all events in the city will be cancelled. Tomorrow's St Patrick's Festival still going ahead. Mr Goff says the history of the spread of infectious diseases to the Pacific, including last year's measles outbreak in Samoa, weighed heavily on their minds. Associate Minister for Pacific Peoples, Carmel Sepuloni, says it was a tough decision to make.
We are sad that this decision had to be made, but we think that it is the responsible decision, and our primary consideration has to be for our neighbours, the Pacific countries themselves.
Meanwhile, the sports world is also reeling from cancellations. The brakes are on the Australian Grand Prix in Melbourne following the confirmation a member of the McLaren racing team has tested positive to COVID-19. And all 3 one-day cricket matches between Black Caps and Australia in the Chapel Hadley series in Australia will go ahead, but with no fans in the stands. Hamilton cricket fan Martin Stiles flew to Sydney today with his father and son to see the games. They landed in the city this morning to the disappointing news they'd be watching on television, not the stands.
Naturally, we're quite disappointed. I can't say I was surprised because these things have been cancelled the world over, but yeah, disappointed definitely.
Mr Stiles says they plan to be cautious about the risk of COVID-19. And for those left stranded by the Pacifica cancellation, the Pacific Business Hub in Manukau is opening its doors tomorrow to allow stall holders to sell the food they plan to sell at the cancelled event. For Checkpoint, Amy Williams.